Welcome back to another explainer. Today, we're taking this 16:9 screen and turning it into a window to look at something that affects almost every single one of us. It operates completely in the background of our daily lives, right? We are taking a hard look at that simple little piece of plastic sitting inside your wallet right this very second.
We're starting with a pretty bold premise here, the dark truth about credit cards. Now, when you hear a phrase like that, it kind of shifts how you view a totally ordinary object, doesn't it? We're moving away from seeing the credit card as just this harmless little tool for grabbing groceries or booking flights, to actually investigating the hidden reality behind it. Because, well, there's a massive underlying architecture at play here, a system designed from the ground up with a very specific and highly lucrative purpose.
Okay, let's dive into this. To really grasp what the source material is telling us, we actually have to flip our entire perspective upside down. When you pull out a credit card, you're probably thinking the product is, the dinner you're paying for, or maybe the card itself. But what is the real product here? I want you to look right past the slick design of the plastic and that instant convenience of the swipe. The core of our investigation today means we have to ask what is literally being manufactured every single time a transaction takes place.
Part 1. The Trap. Mechanics of Debt and Interest.
So here's the very first gear in this massive machine: debt. It's simply the money owed by a consumer after using a credit card. Now, I know that sounds obvious, but it is absolutely crucial to realize that this is the foundational block the entire financial system is built on. Without debt, the machine just cannot turn. It isn't a glitch in the system. Creating this consumer debt is actually the necessary first step that makes everything else we're going to talk about possible. But listen, debt alone isn't enough. And that brings us to the second and honestly more crucial gear: interest payments. This is the cost charged by banks for holding that debt. Think of it like this: if debt is the foundation, interest is the engine. Once that debt is created, the interest payments latch onto it, and they create this continuous, self-sustaining cycle. It literally transforms a static amount of owed money into a growing, highly dynamic asset for the institution that issued your card.
Let's actually map out exactly how these gears turn together in a simple 3-step journey. Step 1, the swipe. That's your moment of purchase. Step 2, debt creation. The system instantly registers exactly what you owe. And step 3, interest accumulation, which is the cost added over time. So what starts out as just a super simple everyday transaction is instantly transformed into an active financial mechanism.
Now, what's really interesting about this slide is the duality of it all. On one side, we've got the consumer's view, right? Everyday convenience. You get exactly what you want instantly. But on the exact opposite side, we have the bank's reality, a carefully designed mechanism for debt and interest. The source material highlights this perfectly. The exact same piece of plastic serves two completely different purposes depending entirely on which end of the transaction you're standing on.
Part 2. The Dark Truth. How banks make billions.
So we've seen how it works for one person making one swipe. But if the mechanism is just, a few dollars of interest here and there on a single card, how exactly is this money made on such a massive scale? Like, how do these individual debt mechanics actually scale up to generate institutional, world-shaping profits? Well, the source breaks down the exact cycle that funnels money directly into the banking system, and honestly, it's kind of stunning in its simplicity. First, banks issue credit cards, casting a massive net. Second, consumers accumulate debt, which engages that first gear of the machine we talked about. And third, banks collect interest payments, firing up the engine. This is not an accident, folks. It's a meticulously structured loop, and it's repeated millions of times a day across millions of consumers.
And when you repeat that cycle enough times, this is the result: billions of dollars. I mean, just let that number sink in for a second. We're not talking about millions or even hundreds of millions. We're talking about billions of dollars generated purely by the mechanics of the system we just explored. To put that into perspective, the staggering scale of the money generated by this operation is the absolute core of what the source text wants us to walk away with today.
And this brilliantly illustrates the final equation: debt plus interest payments equals massive banking profits. All those individual gears, the swipe, the debt, the interest, they all connect directly to this massive institutional outcome. It is a highly, highly efficient transfer of wealth directly from consumer convenience into institutional revenue.
So it really all boils down to this core reality right here from the text: how banks make billions of dollars from debt and interest payments. That is the reality of the structure, plain and simple. It completely relies on the continuous creation of consumer debt and the relentless application of interest to generate monumental institutional wealth.
So, as we wrap up this explainer, I want to leave you with one final thought to ponder the next time you're standing there at the checkout counter. We've mapped out the machine. We've seen exactly how the gears of debt and interest turn to generate billions. Knowing all of this, you really have to ask yourself, who actually benefits from the convenience in your wallet? Thanks so much for learning with me today, and I will see you in the next explainer.